On this episode of ResiWeek, Savant completes their GE acquisition, CEDIA Expo's virtual event, and Crestron's Next. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 231, Lucrative Exposure.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek, your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week, we are pleased to be joined by two of my good friends. First, we have Mr. Jason Knott. He is the Chief Content Officer at CE Pro. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Then we have my partner in crime, Mr. Stephen Bronner. He is the owner of Pro Audio Georgia. How are you, sir?
Man, I am outstanding. It's a little wet down here today, but still a beautiful day to be in the GA, baby.
Very nice. If you are watching this on video, I did not celebrate Canada Day or July 4th overly hard. We're having color balance problems with my camera and a green screen, so we're working on it. Although I did celebrate both holidays because that's how I roll. The joys of marrying an American wife. All right. Let's jump right in with a story that comes to us from CE Pro. Savant completes their GE lighting acquisition. If you've been following along, about, I think 6 weeks ago, Mitchell will probably find the exact date and link for us in the show notes. We announced and covered the fact that Savant had plans in the works to acquire GE Lighting and leverage the brand name as well as the staff, the current HQ in Ohio, and a bunch of those smart products. And they have closed that acquisition, finished it today, although they have not disclosed any of the financial terms. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens, if ever. You never really know. Jason, let me start with you on this, as this is from CE Pro, which is very helpful, and the one and only Bob Archer. When you saw that this closed this quickly, that should be a very positive sign for people who have kind of been watching this from the sidelines. Is there anything additional or anything we should read into that other than it closed really quick?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this had been in the works for quite a while, and Savant had actually mentioned to me when they went public with the news that they were surprised that it hadn't leaked because it had been in the works for a while. So I'm not really familiar with how long the typical due diligence takes on something like this, but it does seem like they were able to pull it together pretty quickly.
Very good. Stephen, this is something that, when you talk to people outside the industry, they know, or some people know GE much more than they know your stereotypical smart home brands. What does that do now that this is, not just a likelihood to happen? Now that this has happened, what does it do? They want to leverage the GE smart home kind of branding. Is GE a brand that, from a lighting standpoint, still has massive consumer notoriety?
Yeah, that's a negative, Ghost Rider. GE, they're about 20 years late on that acquisition. Here's the problem, and I don't see anything wrong with them acquiring it. I think it's cute, but the thing is that nobody really thinks of GE as smart homes. You see GE on your electric panel, you see GE on a light bulb, but smart home, I can admire Savant for going out and doing it, but I think what's going to come in the wash of this, if we talk about this in 6 months to a year, what's going to end up happening is the reason why it moves so fast is because GE knew what they had wasn't worth anything, and they wanted to sell it really quick. So
you don't give any credence to the fact that, Jason, correct me if you remember off the top of your head, less than 6 months ago, they announced their Wi-Fi based lighting control system, no neutrals, $50 a dimmer, nothing? That doesn't matter?
You know, strangely, it mattered so much that I have not seen a single blip about it anywhere. I'll have to
Obviously,
look
you don't
into
watch
that.
my show enough, friend.
I watch your show religiously, and
Just not
sadly,
enough.
you talk about a lot of irrelevant things. So I'm not exactly. No, seriously. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I think that I really believe in my heart, and I read the article, and I kind of did some internal searching on the, you know, what I thought about the history of the product line, and honestly, I think that I never really put a lot of thought to how fast it closed because I knew that there were some backroom talks going on for a little while. But I mean, really, when I think of a GE smart home, I think of something I could walk into a Ace Hardware or a Home Depot and pick up on the shelf. It doesn't seem like a product that that a company like Savant would normally be interested in. I think Savant's getting trounced in the industry right now because of brand recognition, and I think GE may help that. But the fact that GE can help your brand recognition is not saying very much for your brand recognition. So I don't think it's a big deal. We'll see. Like I said, in 6 months to a year, we'll see if this flushes out. But I think that it's good for GE. I want to see GE survive. I'm a big fan of that company. That's an old company. A lot of engineering, a lot of revolutionary inventions came out of that company. So I want to see them survive. But I just don't know. I think that Savant buying that one little sliver of GE and giving access to that one little piece is just not quite going to cut it. If I was Savant, I would have gone the complete opposite way. But of course, I don't own $1 billion company, so we'll see how it works out.
Well, it'd be interesting because brand 20 years ago. I'm old enough to remember when GE, Sears, and Home Director created, and Microsoft combined to create Home Director, which was the structured wiring, early in the structured wiring days. And I think the idea there was that they were going to have this structured wiring panel with this great brand name on it. And it actually ended up becoming IBM Home Director for a while up in Canada and survived for a lot longer. But it's interesting because 20 years ago, there was no such thing in this industry as Sonos.
Yeah.
And Sonos is an example of a consumer brand name that has made headway into the custom installation space. So, if you look at past history from 20 years ago, it wouldn't make a difference. But in the last 5 years, maybe there's a shift in that brand awareness level of the consumer, and it's going to drive people to the custom installation industry. Let's hope so.
Yeah, that's what I think we're all betting on, including
I'd love the
Savant.
boost in business. Yeah, the boost in business would be great, but as a diehard Lutron guy, it just, the news didn't really affect me. I will say this, and props to Savant for this one. Their lighting control, their breaker system, their lighting control system with the breakers and stuff.
Grace point.
That was actually pretty slick. Now, I don't know. I'm still interested to see how it works out for UL and electrical code. I think electricians are going to freak out. I know down here in the Southeast, electricians love us as long as we stay out of their way, and it's vice versa. So as soon as I tell an electrician I want to put a different breaker in your panel, I think that's going to cause quite an uproar. But I will give them props. I thought the technology was amazing. I think that it's got a little ways to go, but if it becomes as reliable as Lutron, I think they could really put a dent in the market by putting that system into homes.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.